Hello, hello, beautiful humans. And day 3 of the Awakening Summit continues. So much magic and so much juiciness has been going on today, and it doesn't stop here. We are here now with Tamala, who is an addiction specialist and a spiritual companioning mentor and the founder and director of the Institute of Spiritual Companioning. I'm Leigh Woodgate. I'm a business growth advisor and a leadership mentor for conscious leaders. And today we're going to get into the depths of what addiction means and how it impacts your life. Welcome, gorgeous one.
Hey people. Excited to be here. It's been an awesome summit, hey, so far.
So far, there has been so much magic, so much magic. So we've got 30 minutes together, my love. Let's dive straight into it. Your chapter is moving. Your chapter had me, in tears right from the beginning. And there's something that's actually been coming up for quite a few of us over the past few days, and that is about how our little girl has supported us to be the women that we are today. And there's so much in your chapter around what your childhood was like and who you were as a child, and how all of these experiences as a young girl have supported you to do the work that you do today. It looks like the catalyst for all of your superpowers. So tell us more about this journey that you've gone on, from addiction, eyes wide closed, to being in this space of creating safety for others, deepening their connection to themselves, and really creating their own heaven on earth.
Yeah, thank you. So I think all of us we've all got a story, yeah? We've all had experiences of abuse, neglect, trauma as we've grown up. And no one's really come from the perfect place, a perfect household. And most of us, women in business who are healers, coaches, light workers, people who hold space for other people, usually have created their medicine from their own trauma and their own healing and their own recovery, and then that becomes our particular medicine. It becomes the reason that we're in the world. And when we learn to heal ourselves and we add our own story and our own particular of recovery, and we share that amongst supporting the world to raise the vibration, we're supporting the whole entire heal, out one person at a time. And my story is different to others, but in a sense, the energy of our stories is all the same. Yeah, we've all come from some form of dysfunction. And so I grew up in a household of domestic violence and alcoholism, but on the outside, it was a relatively functional family. I had a privileged life, but inside and behind closed doors, lots of dysfunction going on, and I felt very unsafe, felt very alone. And I thought that was normal. I thought that's what everyone did. I thought everyone's parents or fathers drank, and mums and dads beat each other up, and that's how they resolved conflict. And I didn't understand. I didn't understand what was happening, and I didn't understand why I was feeling so lost and so alone and so frightened. And I became the peacemaker. A lot of children born to alcoholic parents trauma end up the black sheep, yeah, that sort of sits them down and tries to bring them back together, tries to make them happy again. And we take on this huge responsibility to go, I need to fix it, because internally my little girl wants to feel safe. So the only way that I can feel safe is if I fix the problem, if I get everyone back together, and if I create peace and safety in my work. It's up to me to create that, because it wasn't happening around me. And so what happened from then was, as a teenager, I discovered sex, drugs and rock and roll, and that became my new religion, because I found then, through alcohol particularly, a sense of confidence. And all of a sudden, all that burden and that responsibility just melted away. When I took drugs, I didn't have to think about any of that. All of that hypervigilance that we take on as a child coming from a traumatic lifestyle it just drops. And drugs and alcohol can really separate ourselves from that nervous position, and our nervous system can, you know, alcohol particularly is a nervous system depressant. So really thinking that drugs was this gateway to feel good and to feel confident, and to also created another tribe. I had a lot of other people and we all hung out, we partied a lot, and I thought, this is it. This is it. This is what I need in my life to be fun and safe and confident and create tribes and just freaking not have any responsibility for any of the other. For the first time in my life, I go, oh my God, this is it. And obviously, through a plethora of alcohol and drugs and all that sort of lifestyle, you know, it starts to crack. Yeah, we start to have the come down. We start to have the and the depression and the anxiety kicks in. And I think really the depression and anxiety were always there. It's just that the alcohol and drugs masked that for a little bit, and that's what we're trying to escape. And then, but eventually it's like a bubble, and it just comes exploding out, and it becomes actually the come down of the drugs and the alcohol. And through my work, I've realized that we're actually more addicted to the come down. We're actually addicted to the anxiety, the depression, the procrastination, the dysfunction, the self-sabotage, because that's what we're actually feeding. The drugs and the alcohol are the high, a little bit of a time there, but we spend most of the time in the come down, you know. And even if we start talking about caffeine and sugar and the self-loathing and the negative, fearful thoughts in become the come down. And so what happened after that was eventually I ended up with a job as a drug and alcohol counselor, and that was a very beginning in my own healing journey, when I stepped into the role of being of service to others. And another, I suppose, superpower that saved me through that time was that I never really fell down the big dark hole that a lot of my friends did. Friends of mine ended up dead or in mental institutions, but I put myself top, and I was reaching down into the big dark hole and helping them out. So I became the rescuer because of my rescuing as a child. But there's a big difference, and we can talk about between rescuing and empowering. And we can become addicted to the rescuer as well. Like that's a huge addiction for many people. So unless we're willing to couple all of that and really look at that, and to actually work out what the hell is and what the hell we really want, and what is safety and what is connection, what is light, what is a natural high, how can we be doing all of that as opposed to the quick fix and the dysfunction and the instant gratification.
And talking about rescuing and saving one another, and you know, being there for one another, it's Remembrance Day here in Australia. It's also NAIDOC week. There's quite a bit going on right now, and so we're just going to take a little moment to pause and have an experience of letting go and honoring those who have come before us, honoring those who have put themselves on the front line to be in service to us. And Tamala is just going to take us all through a little practice to enable us to release and honor. So over to you, Beauty, and then we'll get back into it.
Yeah, so it's 11:11 now. It just turned 11:11. So 11:11 is Remembrance Day, and we are honoring all of the men and died in World War I, and that's what this special day is for. So what I would really love to do is to do some tapping and to actually release within us any trauma, any stress, anything that we're hanging on to today. Yeah. And we can do this in like 2 minutes. So for those of you who are watching live, and if you do so, just closing down your eyes, just taking a big deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth with a big sigh. And just one more of those. Just bringing your attention now into the present moment. And in fact, just leaving all of the conversation that we've had previously, leaving it all behind, everything that it took for you to get to this one moment, leaving that behind and coming into one precious, holy instant. And just knowing that there is no future, no past. This moment is all we have. And in this moment, we find the truth. The fearful thoughts about the future are only illusions. The regret, the disappointment, the shame of the past doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is right now. And here is where we find heaven. Heaven isn't a place we go to when we die. Heaven and hell are right here, right now. We get to choose. We get to choose which thoughts we hang on to. We get to choose the feelings, the thoughts. We get to choose to let go of old belief systems and old trauma stories. So just checking in with your body, just noticing any sensation, any comfort, discomfort, just being with your body. I'm going to invite you to open your eyes and just start tapping on the karate chop point here. And in your own mind, I'm just going to get you to repeat after me. You don't have to say it out loud. Even though I'm holding on to old stories and old beliefs, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I slip into the past and I get stuck there and I become heavy, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though sometimes I slip into the future and I worry about things that haven't even happened yet, get stuck in the illusion, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So just starting now on the eyebrow point. So all of this worry and fear, all of these old stories that I'm hanging on to, just on the side of the eye now. All of these dramas that I keep creating in life. All of this feeling of anxiety, overwhelm, all of this sense that I have to complete everything on my to-do list. All of this addiction to the come down. All of this addiction to my own inner critic. All of this addiction to my fearful thoughts. The addiction to anxiety and overwhelm. I really see it and I own it and I notice it. And I'm so ready to let it go. It's utterly exhausting. The future and the past are keeping me distracted from the now. My own stories and limiting beliefs are just thoughts. And I'm so ready to let them go. Just taking a couple of deep breaths, let go, and on the out breath, just feeling all of this tension leaving the body. Letting go of the future, letting go of the past, letting go of stories, go of all of the blame. how that feels in the body. All of this stuff is keeping you back. All of this stuff is keeping you heavy. All of this stuff is keeping you from your ascension. In. I'm ready to call in light. I'm ready to remember who I am. I'm ready to commit to being present in this moment as much as humanly possible. I'm ready to notice thoughts and simply come back to. I'm ready to cleanse my mind, body, and soul. I call in light. I call in love. I call in heaven. Because I know it's a choice. And I choose love. Deep breath. And let's just stop tapping, closing down your eyes. Just connect in with how you feel right now. I know I'm feeling quite buzzy, quite expansive, a lot lighter, a lot higher in vibration. You deep breath in and out through your mouth. When you're ready, slowly blinking open your eyes. How do you feel, Leigh?
Thank you, beauty. Love and light, sister. Love and light all the way. I've just finished a detox with you. So, yeah, I'm pretty unfuckwithable. And nothing like a little bit of a tap, tap, tap to do an extra release, huh? Simple as, like, I mean, seriously, all we've got to do is tap on parts of our bodies to release any tension. It's so simple. Or we can make it hard for ourselves and we can drink all the wine and have the sex with all of the people that don't honor us. And we can be in that come down space. So yeah, it's all about choice. And I love that. Do you choose love or do you choose fear? To really simplify it. Obviously, the work that's required is a lot more than just making the choice, but that's the first step. And I'm really interested to hear from you why you believe that people are so addicted to the come down. I mean, why would anybody be addicted to feeling like shit?
Yeah, good question. Because most people think they're addicted to highs. And yes, to a certain extent, we are. We have a physiological. But the reason that we're actually addicted to the come down is because our world, our entire being, our society has just become hyper vigilant because so freaking unresolved trauma from our childhood. We're just taking that into the now. And unresolved trauma plays in our body as a sense of hypervigilance, because apparently we have to be hypervigilant to be looking out for the predators, the dinosaurs, or the abusers, or the neglectors. And the hypervigilance plays in our body through our stress hormones, so adrenaline and cortisol. And what happens is the adrenaline and the cortisol actually start to change the makeup of our cells. And the cells have what's known as sites on the outside. And we can have receptor sites for adrenaline and cortisol, and we can also have receptor sites for oxytocin and our beautiful, it's our love drug. And what is every single negative thought that we have about ourselves or judgment of others produces a tiny amount of cortisol and adrenaline. Our parenting, our rushing around, our deep level of perfectionism, the saboteur, the procrastination, everything that we do produces an amount of stress through our body. It's become our fuel. We run on it. We think we need we're going to die without it. Our subconscious die without it. So what happens is when we do have a good day, we produce some oxytocin through our connection to self, others, earth, and spirit. The upper limit ultimately comes in and goes, oh yes, well thanks very much, body, for giving me some oxytocin, but where the hell's my adrenaline and cortisol? Like, that's hungry for, because the oxytocin receptor sites actually die off and we grow more receptor sites on the outside of our cells for adrenaline and cortisol, so that they get hungry. They crave the stressful thought, create a drama, reach for the wine, reach for the sugar, because they know on the other side of that, you're going to get a come down, feed yourself with self-loathing and blame your partner, and you're going to judge yourself. And then the body's going to go, oh, wicked, thanks for that rush, that total hit of adrenaline and cortisol. We are adrenaline junkies, total adrenaline junkies. But what ultimately needs to happen is, and that's hell, by the way, stress in our body is when we are in that space of negative and about ourselves and others, that's a hell-like space. So how do we get to heaven? And getting to heaven is all about creating more oxytocin in our body, creating more activities that produce the love drug.
So it's constantly this war between the adrenaline and the oxytocin. It's this total war between adrenaline and oxytocin. And it's a biological response. Fear creates a biological response within the body, and the body gets excited because of what's happening biologically, and it doesn't care whether it's getting it from the alcohol or it's getting it from the abuse, or if it's getting it from the self-sabotaging thoughts. It doesn't care. It just attaches itself to the adrenaline because boom, that's what feels really good. Yeah?
Yeah. Subconsciously it feels good. Consciously no, because we're like, oh, I'm feeling really stressed and I don't like this and I've got this to do and I've got that to do and I'm pissed off at my partner and I shouldn't have done that yesterday. It doesn't consciously feel good, but as you know, we're by the subconscious mind 95% of the time. Or the body actually really, really thrives on it. It loves it because it thinks, the subconscious thinks, if we allow that hypervigilance to come down, the dinosaur is going to get us. It does everything it can to keep us safe, unless we go in and do the rewiring. And
take us to heaven. Tell us how that's going to happen. Take us to heaven. Take us up, right? Because that's where we want to go. We want to go up. We want to go closer to the light. That's why we have the line. That's why we have, what have you got over here? Take us to Lemuria, sister. Take us to Lemuria. So tell our viewers about this. What is this? How do we ascend? What is ascension like? Is it like Buzz Lightyear? You press a button and you're like, whoo, to infinity and beyond. Like, what does it look like?
Yeah. Well, in fact, it actually is a bit like Buzz Lightyear because what it takes is you have to make the choice. Are you going to press that? Like, are you going to press a button and be worthy of heaven? And the reason that most of us aren't engaging in a space of this type of work is because we feel deeply unworthy of it. And we feel separate from God and the universe. And we're believing that we're in this 3D reality and we're just separate human beings all bumping up against each other. And so it takes a deep, deep mindfulness and commitment to self and to make that choice. And so I do teach the spiral of ascension. Like, I have created a whole entire modality around holding space for other people. And it includes the overcoming of the addiction to fear, because my work is based in addiction, but it's actually about holding space for others. It's actually about supporting others to connect in with their own connection, their own spiritual connection to God or universe or spirit or source or whatever people would like to frame that as. Unless we are deeply connected to source, then we're not in heaven. That's what heaven is, that deeply divine connection. But the spiral of ascension that I teach and that my work is based on is that the number one foundation that we have to base everything on is mindfulness. We have to start to become aware of this addictive process going through our body. We have to become aware of which thoughts we're going to choose to hang on to and which thoughts we're going to let go. We have to become aware of our reactive reactions, and we have to find the space between, because the space between allows us to bring free will to make a loving choice. So what happens is, once we become aware, and awareness is a growing concept, we can only become more and more and more aware as we do this work, then we need to do the process known as spiritual companioning. And spiritual companioning is where we, as space holders, other coaches, light workers, healers, we can be very directive. We can be addicted to think we know what's best for our client or the person sitting in front of us. But what if we all 100% believed that our loved ones, our friends, our clients already had the answers within them? What if we actually let go of our idea of what the outcome should be and we stopped playing God? Because when we're playing God, we judge and we direct and we think we know best, then we are also putting out the belief that they are not one with God. Because apparently I'm God, and apparently you should do what I think you should.
Well, there's a real perception that people are broken.
Yeah.
And when something is broken, then there's an assumption that they need fixing. But this is not what space holding is about. It's simply being seen and being heard and being held as you are in each and every moment. And I mean, the work that you've created, the modality that you've created, and what spiritual companioning stands for is a game changer for humanity. And this perpetuation of fear and your role to move people from fear into love is literally what is going to create heaven on earth, because nothing from this point on, nothing is no longer a problem. Everything is okay as it is. So how do you enable, I'm just watching the time as well, we've got a couple of minutes, but how do you enable mentors, coaches, healers, light workers, the people who really want to do the work and want to be in service from a place of integrity? How do you enable them to switch from being the fixers, the directors, the tellers, to being the person on the other side that is holding the space powerfully?
I love that. That's such a beautiful description. So what I do is I spiritually companion them. You know, coaches need coaches, healers need healers. We need to find the people in this lifetime that are going to really hold us in our own trauma, stories, addictions. Yeah, have them. So my role is to spiritually companion other people, is to deeply and utterly honor all of the answers within them. And this type of work is what I can do one-to-one. But the next level of that is also coming in as a mentor student and learning the techniques that I have downloaded, experienced, have created, because the mentorship program is personal development, spiritual development, and professional development. So getting a spiritual framework, and the framework is all around the spiral of ascension. How do we take ourselves through the spiral of ascension in order to take our clients through the spiral of ascension? So you know that I love detoxing. Like, we've got a group of 35 women, incredible space holders, all putting their hand up, being Buzz Lightly, and press the button and go, yes, I want to go to heaven, thank you. Give me a freaking detox so that I can clear the veils, so that I can clear the bullshit, so that I can clear all the stories, so that when we start to do the subconscious work, boom, that happens in an instant. Not sludging through all of this other toxic mental, emotional, and spiritual wasteland. We can actually start to do the work really, really quickly. And then once we've done that, then we can enter into the next rite of passage, which is about entering into the spiral of ascension ourselves. And a big part of the spiral of ascension is, as healers, coaches, light workers, we can all have a modality. Everyone has a beautiful modality. And what the mentor it adds the potency, it adds this final ingredient to your medicine, that it's going to increase its power and potency. And it is the transformational. We can do all the talking work in the world, we can do all the psychic work in the world, we can do all the any other sort of healing modality in the world, but unless we're using a tool such as tapping to transmute the fear, to get into the subconscious, to rewire those old neural pathways, we're wasting the time in this 3D world. We need to be going into the quantum, to be going into the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensions to actually do this work. And we don't have much time. time needs to be something that we need to be much better at. We need hacks. We need things that are going to create our ascension a lot quicker. The other day, I told you, Leigh, that I was tapping for my little boy, surrogate tapping. He freaking heard me. He said, Mum, I heard a female's voice in my head the other day saying these random things, and it was exactly what I was saying. So entering into this level of work, into the quantum field, will support anyone's healing modality to become more successful, more abundant, and more potent.
I think that we just found a new byline for you, and it is not, welcome to the Institute of Spiritual Companioning to up level your integrity in space holding. It's to the quantum field and beyond. Yeah. Let's not confuse Buzz Lightyear and Hitler, but yeah, it's to the quantum field and beyond. That's what it feels like, stepping into a detox with you, or stepping into a one-to-one session with you, or stepping into a tapping, the tapping circles that you do. Literally all of the work is to the quantum field and beyond. Like, who wants to play that game? Who wants to stretch time? Who wants to be able to heal all of their wounds and their trauma, and do it for those who are stepping into places of leadership in the quickest way possible? It's super, super delicious. I feel like we need a part 2 to this, so that we can dive into the detoxing element, because time is up, and short and sharp is always good, and it's good to hold all of you, to have all of you hanging for more. There's so much more juiciness in here, and can we go to the quantum field and beyond right now, so that we can stretch these 30 minutes and actually morph 2 hours into a short amount of time? That would be really good. We're not that advanced yet. All good. We still are human beings on planet Earth. Thank you, my love. Thank you for that moment of release in the experiential practice, and getting the science piece, actually understanding what is happening in our bodies when we're reaching out for all of the things and taking actions in ways that don't really serve us. I think this is so important. People make it hard on themselves. They are hard on themselves because they actually don't understand the biology of the body. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, sharing all of your magic, and creating such a fabulous modality that incorporates both spirituality and the professional development, as well as that personal development piece. It's just fabulous. So thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing. Supposedly the script of everything that we've been saying has not been coming out very well. The auto script that does writing on the screen, I'm losing my words, is not reading us very well. So turn that off and just listen to what we're saying. Otherwise the translation might be a little bit fuckity fucked.
Right.
Sending you.
But we went into the field, and 3D world just dissolved. It just wasn't.
Totally, so good. Thank you, my love.
Thank you.
Can you drop in your deets in the comments in Facebook when we hop off here, so that people can step into the world of spiritual companioning and really get a taste of what it's all about, to enable them to get that much closer to heaven right here on earth.
Beautiful. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, gorgeous ones. Until soon. Enjoy the rest. Ciao.
Yeah.